Okay, so thank you. Welcome to our very last webinar today. Looking forward to this amazing chat. Sorry for being a little bit late. We just had some connection issues, which is actually a small price to pay for this amazingly diverse group of people that we have here. So I will leave and let Evelyn take charge and introduce everyone. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much, Angeline. I think I will start by good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I think we are all in different time zones. We have London, we have Africa, we have India. Really excited to hear from each one of you. Excited also to hear from the Gen Z because I think we have two of them who should kind of bring us to speed in terms of what is going on. This last webinar is on tired algorithm. So just looking at what AI is really doing to young people and how they are working. And I'm going to just briefly ask my panelists to introduce themselves. I will start with London. Lena, go ahead.
Hello, good morning from London, 7:30 here. So I'm an AI ethics strategist, founder of Rise IQ and Gen R. Gen R I've co-founded with Angeline, and we're trying to make digital literacy responsible throughout systems, whether it's education at work. I mean, within my corporate work, I very much try and work with the corporate models which are very profit and growth driven, and have conversations on, look, how can we actually implement these systems? Why are you doing it? Number one, what purposes is it is it serving, or are you just introducing the AI into a system for the sake of innovation itself? So that's one of the key conversations key kind of things I'm doing with corporates, with education. In UK specific, it's being pushed into all of the kids' schooling, which I'm not happy about because there's no guardrails, no responsible oversight, no training, and it's here you go, 14-year-old, 13-year-old, take Gemini, take Notebook NL, Notebook LM, run with it. And I think that's just a very short-sighted way. It also reflects where we are in terms of the lack of understanding of how powerful these models are and how they can really shape young minds. So that's the lens I'll be coming from today.
I love that. Thank you very, very much. Let's move to India. I hope that's not going to be a very long flight, but take it away. I think, are you on mute?
Right now, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Okay. So hello everyone. Uh, I'm Sanchita from India, and I have a background in education. And having completed my bachelor's, master's, and MPhil and PhD in education, and I also have qualified for the national and state level examination for assistant professorship in India. And my research on young people engagement with the technology. So during my MPhil, I worked on digital literacy among different tribal communities in India. In my PhD research, I study digital citizenship among the adolescent students in the Indian context to understand its key dimensions and factors that shapes young people digital behavior and experiences. So, my research explores how adolescents interact with technology, the opportunities it create, the risks they face, and how aspects such as their digital safety, civic participation, responsible use of technology influence their digital lives. I have also reviewed existing educational intervention on digital citizenship and related field and proposed a recommendation for strengthening the digital citizenship education. So, during my PhD, I also worked in several research projects through my institution, which are funded by UNESCO, UNICEF, Google India, and I I'm also interested in opportunities for collaboration in this space and interested in how education system and societies can be better prepare young people to navigate a world increasingly shaped by the algorithms and digital platforms. I'm really looking forward to learning from the experiences and perspective of the other panelists from this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me go to West Africa. Gloria, our first Gen Z, please introduce yourself and also tell us why you're excited being here.
Okay, my name is Gloria Boateng Jemfua. I'm with the Ghana Internet Safety Foundation. My background is in BSc Development Planning. That's the first degree. And at the foundation, I'm the programs manager and the research analyst. I'm also a Trust and Safety Africa Academy fellow and also Aspire Leaders Program fellow as well for an alumni. So basically, at the foundation, as the name goes, Ghana Internet Safety Foundation, we have come to accept that most Ghanaians are using these online spaces, platforms, and all of that with little or no knowledge about the tool they are actually using and how harmful it can be to them. So, as a foundation, we have taken it upon ourselves to bring up to speed these various stakeholders. It would surprise you that teachers are even using these tools in schools and they are not so much aware of how they can even protect themselves in order to even protect these words they are also teaching. So because of this wide gap in knowledge and also skill set, we embark on various outreaches in senior high schools, in primary schools, and we have come to also accept that peers actually listen to themselves the more than when parents or other people talk to their wards. So because of this, we establish online safety clubs in schools. It's a bit difficult get penetrating through public institutions or public education sectors. So we try the much more we can, but we also have other collaborations with other private schools. We've been able to establish some of these clubs in some of the public schools and also the private schools. Another thing we also do, so these club members are to ensure we train them, and I think there is this thing in Safer Internet Day, and we have various programs with them just to build up their capacity and also their knowledge base to be able to help or to be immediate help for their peers in schools. Another thing we also do is that we give trainings to these teachers so that they are able to know how to handle these tools well and also guide these students as well. We also do digital parenting because we've come to accept that it is these parents who provide these tools or digital technologies to their children with this little knowledge. So we do digital parenting as well with some partnerships with Presado and Cybersecurity Authority, Economic Crime Unit, Education Sector, and even Ghana police, because when these issues are reported, and the police, probably because it was not their time when these whole digital tools evolved to this time we are having, they will not be able to respond appropriately if the skill set and the knowledge is not really matching. So we also give trainings to police officers or people in the law enforcement agencies. Aside that, we go to various religious organizations that call upon us, and we are engaged in so many local and also international based collaboration just to make sure that we're able to bring Ghanaians to speed on how to be safe on the internet. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. Our second Gen Z, that is Brenda from my country, Kenya. Brenda, go ahead.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon from wherever you are. My name is Brenda Nekesa from Kenya. I am an online safety training advocate. I work with Evelyn. We train communities on online safeties measures. We also train schools and children. We protect them from online bullying, cyberbullying, and we teach them on how to take care of themselves online because, you know, Kenyans, we are so much online. And we have, many of us have little knowledge or actually don't have knowledge about online safety. We don't know even our rights. I came to learn very recently that we have rights online. I didn't know. I just used to pop in online and pop out, text anything, leave anything, and go. But right now, I understand that we have our rights. We have to be very careful online. There are information that we don't need to type and leave just like that. It can be of our own good, but to other person, they can get affected in one way or the other. So that's what we do. Our most clients are schools, because that's where we have a bigger population. Children are there that we need to protect, and a big number of youths are also in schools, colleges, and university, and those are the main characters we need to teach on how to conduct themselves online. So that's what we do. Yeah, I have a background in social work. I am a professional social worker. I did a bachelor's degree in social work and community development. I am so excited to be here. I am looking forward to learning and sharing our experiences online. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much. And as your moderator, my name is Evelyn Kasina. On a day-to-day basis, I run an organization called Illuminate. It's based in Kenya, but it is taking the world. And we have partnered with big tech companies, Meta, Google, Huawei, and TikTok. And basically what we do across the region and also the country is to just create awareness, give tools, and to empower people. So everybody who's within the ecosystem of the child, be it law enforcement, government, parents, caretakers, all those people who have touch points with children, we look for them where we can, and we make sure that even if it's just 5 minutes of their time, we just give them some nuggets that can assist them to make a child's life a little safe. Right. The conversation we are having today, again, is about AI, and I don't know about you, but the millennials, the Gen Xers, and the boomers have really been complaining and trying to justify why they're firing Gen Z. I don't know why, but maybe there's a disconnect somewhere. Hopefully, the two panelists who are not Gen Xers like myself, I'm not a Gen X, they will tell us what they're feeling working with, Gen Z, the mindset. We need to talk about their skill, the strategy they're bringing, and how we can co-create, because we can't be without them at all. Allow me to start with you, Lena. Is anyone being honest with young people about the change that we have and how it actually looks? Is there anybody who's being frank and honest with young people? You are on mute. Kindly unmute. Thank you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Perfect, yeah. I don't think anyone's being told the truth, because the job market that everyone's implicitly promising doesn't exist in the form that we're all being shown. And it's almost every time someone's climbing the ladder, it's being restructured at every step of the way. But I feel like the people who will be most valuable in the next decade are not the ones that can use AI most fluently, because that whole goalpost is changing daily. It's ones who actually, like you're all doing, you're questioning it, right? You're seeing where it fails, where it harms, and the missing piece is how to govern it, right? Which is a scarce skill. The technical fluency, I feel, is being, like, we're all being commoditized. Whereas the things like ethical reasoning and understanding the power structures behind what is happening is just not, commoditizable almost. So our data, your data has value. We're almost just all resources being extracted, and I think that young people don't understand that. Obviously yourselves do, because you're in there, you're living and breathing this. But to the wider population, I just think, I sit in both rooms, and when I'm having kind of boardroom conversations about the efficiency gains, headcount optimization, looking at the grad programs as well, competitive advantage. Now the schools are not having, the conversation should be about digital citizenship more than prompt engineering, and neither are connecting, right? That gap between employers and what they're planning and what young people should be prepared for is almost like dishonest. Right? It's not malicious in every case. I think they're well-intentioned. They're well-intentioned for the most part, but structurally, we're just not. Students aren't being prepared in the rooms where the decisions are being made, right? So that sounds quite, I don't want you to feel disillusioned, but I think you all know, right? Especially Evelyn, you're working with the top tech companies when it comes to social influence, and that's where most of your population sit and absorb information and teaching. So that's my thought at the moment. I think we're going to talk about regulation a bit later, but for the most part, preparation without accountability is just teaching people to comply more efficiently with a system that wasn't ever designed in their interest.
Yeah. And I feel you've just mentioned something, and I don't want to lose that thought. Maybe you can just tie it together, that it's not really more about digital citizenship, and I just feel like we had barely scratched the surface. Then now we are being pushed doing something else.
Yes.
So if we, for instance, keep moving with how technology is, and we have not even covered the basis of maybe digital literacy or digital citizenship, then even the generations that are, say, Gen Z, and then there's the Alpha, how do we then bridge that gap? Because then we will continue having a very huge gap that has a lot of gaps, and that I think that is where perpetrators take advantage. So what would you suggest would be the litigation around that?
Okay, I see young people as constituents, right? We're not just you're not just consumers, and I think that's the most underutilized lever for you to use is electoral, right? Gen Z votes, especially, like the question on, I'd say, AI governance should become an electoral issue. Just how, when I look at millennials and how passionate they were with climate. And AI governance hasn't reached that part, but I think that's so important because the algorithmic harm to mental health, the job displacement, the surveillance, right? If it gets politically organized, then it becomes a very different conversation. So solutions not really to opt out. I think everyone has to opt into the political system, or to the only other way of doing it is to burn it down and start again, and that's not going to happen. So I think it's using your vote to make accountability expensive to avoid and cheap to adopt. And right now we're in the reverse. So you as Gen Z are very powerful right now with your voice, with how you're shaping what this looks like, what you will accept, what you will absolutely reject. And I think that's for me is where change can happen on a more of a global level.
Oh, thank you.
Boring
Thank you
and slow, but it's the only thing that essentially will work, right?
Yeah, because we really can't burn it down. We can't start over.
Exactly.
It will be too costly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sanchita, I will just jump in and ask you, then who is responsible for preparation? I know everybody seems to have an idea of saying, then you should do it, and you should do it, and then, I don't know, everybody's pointing a finger at someone. So who is responsible for preparation? And is that even being asked in the right direction? Does it depend on who is asking? Or, please help us to flesh this out. You are on mute. Sanchita, you're on mute, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really interesting question, like who is responsible for this? So I would say, see, when we are talking about Gen Z, we know that we are in an environment, maybe now it's a AI or it's something else in future, maybe. But the thing is, young people are not just preparing for the algorithmic world, they are already living in one. Like algorithm shapes what they see, learn, and increasingly the opportunities available to them. So like we often tell young people to develop their digital skills. Some of the governments basically focusing on their digital literacy, and also some countries are now focusing on democratic citizenship education and other stuffs. But we don't always talk honestly about the structural changes technology is creating in the future market or decision making system. So in this case we can is responsible not only the individuals but also the system which is basically our education system is largely preparing young people for the predictable careers to adapt with the technology which are coming in future, while the digital economy is becoming increasingly unpredictable and platform driven. So, responsibility is basically shared not only on the young person. So, schools, universities, government, basically their policies, regulation for safe digital work environment, their technological companies, also the families and communities, which like Gloria and others, Genji also mentioned that they are working on with the different companies, and they are like preparing students, advocates for the thing. So the world is already started working with different kind of stakeholders, but often the questions about the preparation are individualized or ignoring systematic responsibility. So this question is always arises, and should this question actually should focus on how society collaboratively prepares youth, not only the skills and trading, I feel. So this is what actually I think about, uh, who is responsible for this change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's everyone, and we all have a different, very intentional role to play. And I think everybody needs the next person to do their part. For me to be able to do my part, somebody else needs to show up and do their part. And
Yeah, and
I
also
like,
the
yeah,
yeah, sorry to interrupt. So also here is the thing that we collectively definitely should work for the society to, based on our digital footprint, what we are doing into our platforms, or it's not only individualized but society. But in that case, we also should focus like about their previous history, their competence and other skills, what, how much, and in what context we are talking about. If I am just for example, if I'm taking rural Indian people and teaching them about AI algorithm and other things, maybe they are not aware about how to use the technology, or maybe they don't have the regular access to the devices, then other things will come what we are right now talking about. So we also that time should focus about their previous experience with the technology, how they are using, and based on that, if we can policy perspective, it should not be the like concrete one ki this should follow in this country. It should follow based on their background, based on their level of capacity to adapt the technology, which is also matters. And also whatever the technology policy or training whatever we give, I feel that their agency of using technology is very much important to uh, for them or for the society also in long term. So agency is also a matter of thing which we also can uh, like um, talk during this period, which will affect, because there if they understand what to do, what to not, the ethical thing, what this Lena is also talking previously, that the ethical critical awareness about using technology. So this is also a very important thing for long term use of technology for the adolescents or Gen Z. Yeah.
right. Thank you. Thank you very much for chiming in on that. To our Gen Zs, I have around 50 or so of them in the company. I sometimes feel like a minority, and I always have to ask them, what does this mean? And it always feels like a blonde moment. It's okay, they laugh at me, but somehow they just get to bring me into the fold. So I'm going to ask both Brenda and Gloria. We'll start with Brenda. What do you feel is the difference between a new opportunity and a new exploration? Like something has come up and you need to explore it. And I think maybe that is the part of curiosity. How do you take up on new opportunities as opposed to exploring new stuff? Brenda, and then Gloria can take it.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. Currently, for a new opportunity, most of us are very afraid because you are not sure if this opportunity is real or not real. Because online nowadays, there are scammers who are also looking for a living. So for my tech, I think we are a bit scared. We don't know which opportunity to go for, which opportunity to stay away from, and at times we get conned. Yeah, you can get an opportunity which is not real online, and they ask you for some favors. Some of us tend to fall for them because you cannot really tell if this is an opportunity that you should go for or it is a scam that you need to stay away from it. So most of us get confused. And then there's this generation that is already on the know-how. They are very versatile in technology and they go for these opportunities very fast and they grab them if it is a good opportunity. And then there's also this other generation that is not as very versatile with the tech and they miss these opportunities. Yeah, so by the time they are not connected to internet, or rather they don't have information about technology, or they just have little information about the tech. So by the time they get to learn that there are opportunities, it is very late and they may not, or sometimes they never even get to learn that there are opportunities. So that is my take on opportunities. And what is the other thing that you asked?
New
Opportunities
exploration,
and
like new exploitations, like exploiting already
okay.
existing technology to take advantage of them.
I also have two takes on them because there are those who get to explore there is this generation that gets to explore the tech or the internet in a positive way because they have a know-how, or rather they have knowledge about the internet and they know what to go for and not to go for. So being conned or being exploited online is minimal. But there are this generation that they are not on a know-how, they don't know, they don't have much information online and they get exploited more online. Someone comes in and takes advantage of them or they get scammed online just because they have little or they don't have information about the internet. Yeah, thank you.
All right. I'm going to ask Gloria and also just add on to what Brenda has said. Do you also feel like enough is being done, especially for young people, to take advantage of existing technology? So as you answer the question, just bring that into your context.
Okay, so I would say that I'll just add on to what Brenda has said. So specifically in the African continent, this whole thing is not really birthed forth from the African continent. It's actually coming from the Western world, and systems and structures have been built in a way that they kind of understand things better than we do. But the issue right now is that we are all using these same technology or tools. So, to the African continent, and also, I should say, the African folks, this is a new thing to them. Even the Gen Zs, some of us have not really come to grasp what these tools are. It will surprise you when you ask for definition of some of these online harms, the definition the agency will give you would even tell you that there's a problem with how we even understand what issues are on the internet space. You can ask someone what is cyberbullying. It can be a university student, and you'll be surprised the person will be there. You can ask, have you ever heard of sexual exploitation, like online? The person will just be there. But these problems already existed in our systems. I think someone was like, is trolling the same as cyberbullying? So in our African continent here, before these things got to be hooked up onto the internet or the online spaces to be used by third actors, some of these issues were already existing in our context. But the framing of the words and all of that actually puts some people like, hey, what is this thing? What is sextortion? What is online sexual exploitation? What do you mean by sexual abuse? What do you mean by cyberbullying? What do you mean by identity theft? So this opportunity, I would say AI and digital technologies keep on evolving, but should I say knowledge based and also skill set based evolvement has is really a problem. I'm talking for the African continent because I find myself in the African continent. You see people using it, but with little knowledge. And if even defining terms about these things we are using is a difficulty, then it takes us into difficulty in even identifying these online harms when we find ourselves in them because we're unable to really understand what the thing actually is to even put it in the right word or in the right context. So it takes us to there are lots of resources out there about how to counter cyberbullying, about how to address extortion. But if the key concepts about these things are not really understood by these folks here down here, then even these resources will not be of much help to them. So I would say how the whole thing is built is actually also having a negative impact on the African continent. Then the new opportunity I would say that, sorry, the new exploitation. I would say that threat actors, I mean, we live with bad people in our communities, but this is the situation where some of them may have had some knowledge and skill set about how to use these tools. And some people, they just want to learn how to use these things and use it to exploit people. It's so amazing. There's this academy we have. I think Evelyn, you know Musadi, right? She's part of the moderators for Trust and Safety Africa Academy. And what this thing seeks to do is that some people have these skill sets and these knowledge, but they're using it for the wrong thing. They're using it to exploit people. So you're trying to bring in these people and teach them the right thing to be done. But it is sad that, I mean, I can teach someone how to use this thing rightly, but the person would decide on what to use the thing for because in our workforce as well, or the economy, or should I say the places taking in people to be employed, there's limited available opportunities. And so the person would decide that, oh, if I'm not really employed into any of the platforms that thus need a content moderator or any of the platform that needs a cyber trauma specialist, then the skills I have, I will use it to fraud people and gain a living. The end is I'm able to get something to live on. So there's a level of knowledge, and even those who have it are not really using it the right way. Those who don't have it want to know more. But the thing is, where they find themselves in our education system, I'm praying that this thing we're able to see it to the end. We are trying to fix digital citizenship into the curriculum. And it's a very difficult thing we are facing because for a curriculum to be developed, I mean, it's something that is coming from the government directly, the education sector. We are a non-profit organization. That's why we are trying to establish so many partnership with so many governmental and also non-governmental agencies, just so some of these ideas we are able to put in there. And it's taking us a while. Can you imagine people already using these things? They're already using it in school, they're already using it at home. And now we are trying to feature it into the curriculum. So I'll say that the gap here is actually I'll not say amazing because it's not nice. So you may think agency really understand what the person, but when you ask the person, so how do you counter this? You see the person fumbling. Some actually take the next step to look out for resources and information to bring themselves up to speed. Some actually don't because they just want to be using Facebook, TikTok, and all of that for the fun aspects, forgetting there's a threat actor somewhere looking at the bad digital footprints you are building just so they can get back at you. So I've already answered what we are doing is not enough, I guess. We need to continue to do them more. And the new exploitation, I'll say I've already mentioned a few of them: online sexual abuse and exploitation. And I can see children are really at a higher risk now because most parents would want to get some time to work, let's say do their work or attend to something else, leaving the world to a tablet, a phone with internet access. And these people, we have so many friends online, like millions of them. But in person, we can just have like two best friends or one best friend. Imagine a child communicating with someone the person has never met before. And with this huge knowledge gap, they get to make friends so easily. And you know how children can easily trust you. Because when mommy tells you I'll buy an aeroplane, mommy knows that until she becomes a billionaire, she can't even get a jet to even buy an airplane for the child. They easily trust, and these predators get hold on them. Some people they feel so shy going into public because even on their school platforms, people are bullying them. And we have online fraud, identity theft, wrong digital footprints that are being built. Because I remember there was this trend that came on, they call it teleportation. I think we've all watched this yes, teleportation vibe. And they took it for fun. And this is what teleportation vibe means. It's like series of pictures, but they are all moving fast. And there will be one nude picture of the child in there or the adult in there. Not knowing that someone can just pick up the video, just pick out that specific they don't know. So they do it for fun. And I asked them, why do you do that? And they're like, oh, I just want to also be popular. I just also want to be known. And I'm like, so you see, we are using the tools for the wrong purposes because we have not been really brought up to speed with how these tools can be harmful when we don't use it appropriately. So that's my take on the question.
So our two Gen Zs are trying to paint a picture for us. And just before I shift gears, my hope is because Brenda and Gloria, you're fortunate enough, and I'm sure we have a few of some Gen Zs who are in the marketplace already. You're fortunate enough to be already working, like you're earning a living, right? It would be good because you mentioned earlier that peers listen to peers. It would really be good to cut across and encourage your peers to be a bit more thoughtful. So that as opposed to just thinking of doom scrolling or not taking opportunities of what is already existing, leave alone what is being built, you are showing people how you can implement some things in the marketplace, in the workplace. But I feel there is a space for you young people to learn soft skill. My soft skill to you people will be to learn to listen. For instance, when you say that you don't want to learn from a millennial or a Gen X or a boomer because they don't understand the technology, there is wisdom that you actually don't have that you can plug into and digitize it, right? I hope that for me, I think that will be it because there's a lot of also soft skills that you guys need to learn. So I'm going to just shift gears just a little bit and do some, I don't know if we'll call it a game, but let's call it an activity because I love activities. And the first activity we'll be doing is the human versus machine vibe. So everybody will get a chance to answer something. And I will start with, let me see, drum rolls. Who has not spoken? Lena, I think you're here. All right. And I think we have been in the workplace more, the three of us.
Yes.
So in one sentence, what is the skill that you have that an algorithm will never be able to replicate no matter how much data it is fed? One skill in one sentence.
Judgment.
What would that be?
Judgment.
Yeah. Okay.
Word or sentence, like the capacity to look at a system, algorithmic. I'm from financial markets 20 years, so we saw this with financial markets in 2008, but it's a different example. And I asked, who built this? Who benefits? Who is obscured? What does accountability actually look like here? That all of that cannot be outsourced and it cannot be automated. and it's extraordinarily rare. Like it was rare in financial markets. I don't know, the Gen Zs would have been babies, but there was a massive crash in 2008. The people who had this judgment in my field saw this years before, and I feel the same's happening with AI. If you see this now, you'll see what's coming next. And I'd say judgment. That's the most important thing.
Right. Sanchita, what would yours be?
Yeah, so ethical judgment, I feel, is very important. And also, excel at listening and empathizing and advocating for others, which is also is a very important, I feel. So, yeah.
Empathy? You said empathy?
Yes,
Judgment, is it?
empathizing and yes, ethical
Mm-hmm.
judgment and advocating
Mm-hmm.
for others.
Advocacy. All right. I like that.
Yes.
Gloria, what's
I would
yours?
say emotional intelligence.
Uh-huh. Expound that
So,
just a little in one sentence.
so AI is an artificial intelligence, and when it comes to humans in the workplace, I mean, there's some things that your colleague may going through or a client may come to you. AI will not be able to give that client that emotional support. A human needs to be there for the human. So
Yeah.
I think that's something we can work on and add on more knowledge so that we are able to pick this up.
Yeah. Because we are social creatures. Yes. Brenda, what would yours be?
I would say active listening and internalizing, information. I would really internalize information before making a decision. Something I think AI cannot do it really well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think mine would be cultural context, just trying to understand things from a culturally contextual space. I think that would be for me. Right. So to the second prompt, let me see. We will start with Sanchita. What was the very first piece of career advice that you were given that is now completely useless because of AI? One career advice that you were given that is now completely useless because of AI.
So the advice that hard is the technical skills and alone guarantee your career success feels completely outdated nowadays, because in India, if a student is like passed a class 10th examination and people say ki, you should learn computer and something like that. So it is, I think nowadays only learning the basic of computer is course decision for career success and outdated for AI. With AI, like the skills are commoditized. Is what really matters is ethical reasoning, critical thinking, and ability to navigate human and digital system together. So I think that is more important than getting only the skills, technical skills.
All right. I want to get the wisdom. So, Lena, what was yours?
I have to say, because I'm a lot older than all of you, the advice I was given actually holds true today. Always follow the money, and that's where the dynamic of power will lie. And that is
All right.
so true today, especially with the AI and tech companies. In fact, my mentor would not have realized how applicable it was, and that was when I was a graduate at Deutsche Bank in 1997. And that was one of the first things he said to me. I was on the trading desk and he said, always remember, this is how life works. And it's
I hope you've had that.
we can try and change it, but I think if we surround it and utilize it, so we utilize it for the benefit of good, then I think it can change the narrative. But ultimately, that's
awesome.
Yeah.
I hope Angeline can just put for us that phrase. Always follow the money. Could you say that again so that it can be put on chat?
Yeah,
I think that
of
is
course,
something
I'll
I want to
type it
put
as well,
here.
actually, as in always
Thank
follow the
you.
money, because I'll type it, always follow the money, no matter where you are, what context you're looking at, because that's where power will live, or another way of
All
saying
right.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Brenda, have you been given any career advice that you feel like is completely useless because of AI?
Yeah, I think some advices that you were used to be given back in school was just work hard, your job will be secured. Right now, AI is
Yeah,
taking away our jobs. Aye, that advice is not working anymore.
it isn't. I think then you need a different strategy because you still have to work hard regardless of that. All right. Gloria, is there any advice that you feel is completely useless?
Okay, I would say that I did planning, and you'd need to do lots of mapping to be able to show for what you want to show when in the case of presentation. So now AI is able to really do great maps, like pictorial presentations, that if I would say if I don't bring myself up to speed, or if I don't learn to also evolve, then that's advice and that skill I learned way back in school will not be needed, because most applicants are going to really fine tune what they do with AI tools. So I'll not say it's completely useless, but I need to bring myself up to speed so that I add up my knowledge to also use AI to refine.
Okay. I love that. I started my first job when I was 19. I think
Wow.
back then it was about showing up. You needed to show up, and it was the showing up of 8 to 5. I don't think that advice really makes a lot of sense right now. So for me, that is completely useless. Not that showing up is not important, but just blocking the times and imagining that you can only work at very specific times. I think with evolution of work, that has completely moved. And I mean, if you have any suggestions and comments, please feel free to share with us on the chat. We'd really like to hear what your contribution towards this conversation is. I'm going to ask another very fun question. And this is to all of us, so we'll still take turns to answer it. If AI were a colleague in your office, so I want you to think about your office context. If AI were a colleague in your office, would you describe them as a helpful intern, a micromanaging boss, or a chaos agent? Those are your three options. All right.
Could you repeat the options
Helpful
again?
intern.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
So would you describe them as a helpful intern,
Yeah.
a micromanaging boss, or a chaos agent? And then I
Okay.
want to ask why. Whatever answer you choose, why? Right. Who is ready? Who is ready?
I
Who
would
is ready?
say it's
Go
a
ahead.
helpful intern, because I've come to accept that these AI tools cannot just, that AI tool with me in that office is an intern, and it cannot just start doing things on its own.
Mm.
It needs to take, shall I say, instructions from my end. And the kind of instruction, the clearer it is, the better the responses. So if I'm able to really manage this tool well, or this colleague well, then this intern will be able to help me to be able to meet my targets. If only instructions are clear and boundaries are set, like don't do this. I think just recently I'm learning something from Aspire Leaders Program. The kind of instructions we give to AI also determines the kind of output. I mean, there are times that you state this, then it states the otherwise. But when you reinforce, I think, Lena, you mentioned prompt engineering when we're starting. When we are so sure and clear about what we want this intern to do for us and giving it the guidelines, I think we'll be able to make some good use of this too.
Okay. Love that. All right. Who is going to volunteer next?
Yeah, I'd say
All right.
helpful, definitely helpful intern. I think I've used, although I feel that's underrepresenting their helpfulness. But it's definitely been a colleague for me to brainstorm. But as always, you have to train it, right? So I always have to say, stop affirming me, stop telling my ideas are good. Actually, act as though you would a real manager, thinking that I'm not adept. Sometimes I tell it to assume I'm not adept at my role. And I feel that's when it's trained on that basis, then it becomes very helpful. Otherwise, it just then affirms all of your ideas, as you already know, as phenomenal, which, fundamentally so wrong.
All right. Sanchita, Brenda, who wants to
Yeah.
go?
So yeah, Sanchita. So I would describe AI as a helpful intern with potential to misbehave if left unchecked, and it can speed up work, but it still can't replicate the judgment, empathy, and understanding of human safety, and also online. And also, before using AI, we should be very much aware about their algorithmic bias and how this AI is trained. So I think it will help me in that way, like as an intern. Yeah.
All right. Brenda?
Thank you. I will also describe AI as a helpful intern because, as my fellow Gen Z has said, it cannot run on its own. You control it. And in as much as we have human power, we also need to have tech skills. Yeah, so when we have the skills, we will be able to run the AI and it will be useful rather than bringing harm. It will bring more efforts in the office. It will help run a few things here and there, meet deadlines, help submitting reports. You know all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a helpful intern.
Interesting. I chose a chaos agent because in academia, if I feel like we have to be more intentional also on the content we're feeding AI, because if we have a lot of misinformation, then that brings a lot of chaos. Because then if you have a generation of people who are reliant or overly reliant on using AI search engines, and the information that it's feeding is not accurate, or it has a bit of misinformation, then of course what it's feeding you is a lot of chaos. And probably then somebody who wants an output that they know how it's supposed to look like, and you're giving them something totally different, that is a recipe for chaos. So I feel I chose chaos. But of course, in trying to make our work easy and making us extremely lazy, it could be a helpful intern because it will take our notes, it will summarize our things, and it's making us lazy. I feel like less and less of us are reading, even not even just a bit. Less of us are reading books, so it's making us lazy. But I think there is a space for that. All right. So my last prompt before I jump back to where we were, and especially I want to start with my Gen Zs now. I want you to tell us, other people who are not Gen Zs, tell us about a new job title that you have seen in the last maybe 1 year to 6 months that didn't exist when you started your career journey. A new job title that you have seen that didn't exist when you started your career journey. See, I think people have gone into thinking. I love seeing people thinking. Sanchita, I can see wheels spinning. Think about it. Something, there's a new
Yeah.
engineering thing.
So
Yeah.
also I'm in my starting of my career. But if I say like 5 6 years back or like that. So one job title recently I'm seeing is like ethical AI officer or AI governance specialist, which is earlier I don't feel from the education background I have thought of ki I can apply for this kind of job. So this is new for me. And also sometimes there are a lot of analyst posts which are also coming like community manager or content integrity analyst. So these are actually I was not aware of while I was starting my career. So these are the two I can remember. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gloria, Brenda, you are young in your careers. Tell us what you
Okay.
have had.
I think I would state AI chatbot counselor
Ah.
because in the
Mm.
past years, you would not see a chatbot trying to give counseling advices to people when they send in their grievances and their issues. So yes, that's what I'll go
Mm-hmm.
for.
Mm-hmm. All right. Brenda?
I would talk of AI content creator. Initially, I used to see people creating content by themselves. You think of something, you come up with something very constructive or very funny. You make your content and you sell it out here. But currently, I'm hearing of AI content creator where it makes content for you and then you. That is so new to me.
Yeah, marketing has changed. Lena?
I'd say AI red teamer. So I work with corporates, and now they have red teamers. So people are paid to attack
Mm,
the AI system. So that definitely didn't
mhm,
exist I think it did kind of exist 18 months ago, but not really as a popular role. Now I'm finding
mm.
it within across corporate structures.
And is that like a back end security kind of role?
Yeah, it's no, I wouldn't. I'd say they work with front and back office. So I'm talking banks
Hmm.
specifically, and they're
Hmm. Hmm.
basically there to attack the systems to see where the biases are, where the failure nodes are, um, before deploying the systems. Right. So that's come more about because of the governance and ethics. So that they're trying to reduce their reputational risk and financial risk. So that's how
Hmm.
that came out. And you see,
I like
actually,
that.
TikTok have that, although I don't know what they attack because all of the egregious stuff is still on the platform. But yeah, I did. When I was doing a project with them, I did see that they had red teamers in there. It's like, what are you fighting? I'm seeing all of it still. God.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And I think also there are some roles that are building already in existing ones. The ones I've seen, like existing roles, people have to keep re-engineering what their scope of work looks like. And I think those are new roles coming up. Maybe not with the new titles, but definitely what we would call traditional roles are really changing in terms of scope. I like that. So I wanted to just go to Lena a bit because just we can talk a lot about what algorithms are doing and how the new workplace is looking, but in terms of policy and also ethics, and I think a lot of these things are also driven by how our social lives and how the work environment looks like. Um, Talk to us a little bit about the fine balance between ethics and I think over governance, because I feel the more we keep deploying policy, I feel like we're just being governed too much. It becomes a bit overwhelming. And also tying in what Australia did just recently in terms of even just banning social media for young people, because I think there is a good space in it, but also a disadvantage where other people have been exposed and then this group of people who have been restricted until a certain age. There's a fine balance that we need to strike. Talk to us about it.
That's about 17 questions in one, so I'll do my best. Okay, so if we look at Australia, given that at the moment in the UK, they've put it through to the House of Lords, we're waiting for the House of Commons to ban social media for under 16s. Now, I think it's good and bad. I think it will, and I'm also seeing it from the lens, not just as an educator, but also I'm a mum to a teen and a tween, and I have significantly different conversations with access, which my son had and my daughter does not. And so those conversations, I with my 12-year-old, then I would support the social media ban under 16 because she's not emotionally ready, and I think that will help a parent and schools have those conversations and say, look, now this is policy. We're not trying to be the bad guys here. It's just against the law. So in that sense, it's helpful. Now, if I flip it to my 14-year-old, he has brand, like he loves his academics, etc. But he's very creative. He's created his own brands. What do you need to advertise your brands to? Social media, right? So I'm seeing it from his lens also, but even though I have controls in place, I will miss things because he's a teenager. And when I look at his account and look at what he's being fed, it is disgusting. I mean, you literally are completely benign. You become benign to violence, to pornography, to think, you normalize so many things that should be just awful. And so it's desensitizing teens. Now, I'm someone who has constant conversations with him, with his friends, but most people don't. You know, I'm in the space, so therefore I'm well equipped and I don't feel overwhelmed having those conversations. But most parents would. If you're full-time working, you've got, you know, so many other things and priorities that you almost want to bury your head in the sand. And many parents I talk to do, because it's overwhelming to stay on top of, oh my God, there's a new threat. Every week there's something else that comes out that affects teenagers. So I think for that reason, I like the fact they're trying to do it. Obviously, they're not doing it in a way that's ideal. You know, we're bringing in surveillance, digital ID. That brings a whole other scope of challenges and things that I do not agree with. But ultimately, where do we start? Right? We have to start with a baseline. It's going to be messy. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be very unpopular, and it's also going to breed, just like any security system that comes into place, you then have an underground movement that goes to even more dangerous apps, right? Even more dangerous content that's not under the radar at all. So that's from the social media ban. That's my perspective on both sides. But again, we do have to start somewhere. If we don't do that, then what? You know, ultimately, we are moving towards surveillance state globally. I think that's a huge problem, and they're trying to legitimize doing that through youth. So I think young people actually have to understand systems. Like your Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they need to understand risk a lot earlier than I would have liked to introduce it. So even we have this program which I do recommend to share with people. It's called Molly versus the Machines. We had a girl who committed suicide in 2017 over Instagram, and the father's been on this long journey to try and bring accountability to these firms. But he's produced a program, or he's created a program that actually, it's not more about her suicide. It's about the systems and how the systems are shaped and how they influence people. So I actually watched it. I'm watching it with my 14-year-old tomorrow, but I watched it on my own to see, okay, what does it show? What is it going to teach young people? I don't want to inflict more fear into them. They're already overwhelmed. You're already, you know, Gloria and Brenda, as you said, you're in uncertain times, and people younger than you, and you're in the game, right? So you understand the levers. But I do think it's a good program for young people to watch. If you want to share it, I'll put I'll just put it in the chat. Now back to the other. Could you just remind me of the other things you mentioned that you'd like me to answer? Sorry.
So the balance between ethics and policy.
Okay, so it's a constant trade-off. You're always going to be in rooms where you don't necessarily agree with the decisions, but if it moves one part of your, you know, moral, ethical stance on something, then you understand you have to pay a price for it. And unfortunately, AI ethics and governments works like everything else. There's always a trade-off. You're not going to get a moralistic, especially we're governed by a shareholder model in society. Growth is everything. You know, the quarterly reports. And unfortunately, because company heads might not want to make those decisions, but unfortunately they feel that they have to. So on a fundamental level, I think your generation is going to be even harder, because you've got the technocrats. You know, you've just got a very small people of non-government led people mindset leading where this is heading. So your voices are actually even more important to amplify now and grow. So all of your community grassroots, city to city, country to country, I think the more you galvanize that, the more power you will gain. Like the social media bans only came because of a local intelligence of parents saying, oh my God, our kids are actually, you know, they're unaliving themselves, they're harming themselves. And it was that small community of parents that turned into a movement. So I think that's very possible and is being done by people like yourselves, right? You have, when I'm listening to you, Brenda and Gloria, as Gen Zs, I'm like, wow, you know, I know you guys can create a lot of change, and that's just two of you in this short conversation. So I'm very confident that if you lead with a headspace, look, what's morally right for, you know, what's I think right and wrong is quite binary. but also, you know, you don't want to murder people, you don't want people to be harmed, and you build that into the models you're using and grow that out and have these conversations. Because as you both said, actually, that young people, they're using TikToks and they're scrolling mindlessly, so they don't know the intention behind what they're doing. They don't know the intention of what companies are making off them. So, you know, the conversations I have with 14, 15-year-olds, look, these systems are using you, and I need you to understand you're these big men trying to, you know, create this image of yourself, but you're being used. So let's understand how you're being used, and let's understand how you can flip it and have the dopamine hits, but you do it so it benefits you, not benefits the person who's using you. So those kind of conversations, and that's what flows into ethics. Like, unfortunately, with corporate models, they're established. So you have to go in very gently, not like a bull in a china shop. And I learned that the hard way, and treat it almost like government. So the more you guys get involved in government and politics, the better it will be. The younger you are, the better it will be.
Sorry, I think I got distracted by a call that came in. Can you hear me? All right. So I'm going to ask, I think, before just wrap up, because we've been given just a little bit more grace by Angeline. Thank you very much. To Brenda and Gloria specifically. So you guys have, I feel like you're in between a rock and a hard place. Algorithm is trying to replace, AI is trying to also take some roles that have been given to you. But there's this generational issue where very many people don't understand how to work with you guys, and it's becoming really stressful. I hope you can feel the pressure. You know, we are trying. I can assure you, we are really, really trying. And I think the honors are on you guys to, in this conversation we're having right now, maybe you have a thing that you want to tell the people who are employing you, the people who have the workspace jobs for you. Like, what is the one thing, or maybe two things, that you feel you would tell a millennial, a Gen X, a boomer who is your boss or your employer? You know, like, chill out. We've got this. We know what we are doing. Maybe things that you feel like you need to improve so that you're adaptable to the work environment. What do you feel like? Because we are struggling with AI for sure, with tech for sure, but you guys are the ones who are integrating with it. So you give us what we need to do so that we can support the ecosystem of work. Yeah. Brenda and Gloria.
Thank you. So before I get to the employers or so, before we get these job opportunities, yeah, because when I was looking for a job, I got the advert online. I applied, I did an interview, and there are so many interviews that I've done virtually, but I feel there's some sense of inequality because yeah, the job is advertised online. We apply online, we submit our CVs, and all that. Everything is done from the other side, and then we get feedback. Some of them never give feedbacks, by the way. So you wonder if this job was existing or it was, I don't know. And then some of them, they judge us too much. Yeah, they expect us to be so perfect. Our CVs should be very flowing, and our profiles should be very accurate. And they are not. Some of us comes from very remote areas, and we don't access this internet mostly. So when we get a chance to see an opportunity online, we just apply as we are, and we are being very genuine. But on the other side, they're judging us on this on the point of these people are online, they know what they're supposed to do. Their CVs should appear better than they are appearing right now. No, I think that is creating some sense of inequality because someone else in a better internet and someone who has more knowledge about tech will have more advantage, and I may never have a chance just because I don't have knowledge on internet, or rather I have not polished my CV that much, you know. Yeah. And on the workplace, we are also, I feel we are also judged because when you are given an assignment, or rather an opportunity to do, they think we rely so much on AI, of which some of our employees of our age do, but not everyone does that. Some of us try to make it to put our human effort so that we do this thing in the best way possible. But our employers think we just depend on AI and we cannot do without them. And there are also these our fellow Gen Zs who are at the workplace, especially the interns. I've had a chance to interact with an intern who is always, who when the internet is not working, he's not at work, he's not active, he'll not do anything. They'll just be dull and they will be walking around. Oh, I don't know, I'm sick. They can even fake something and go home just because the internet is not working and they are not connected and they are not online. Yeah. So yeah, I think the employees or the employers, on the other hand, they are right when they disconnect or rather limit us on tech, because some these people are just, you are here to get knowledge. How comes you cannot do without internet? Hmm? You are supposed to offer, even the work you're supposed to do is not on internet, but you just want to be connected. Yeah. On this hand, you are handling a client, but on this hand, you are online. You are busy replying to a chat on TikTok, which is not very important. So some of our employees are okay, but they should not judge us too much on internet. They should not, okay, they should not limit us so much. Yeah, in as much as we are doing our work on a human basis, we also need to get connected, yeah, so that we know on how things are going around, how we can do our work best. Yeah, we can compare ourselves. We can do some research, yeah, and we can catch up with people online. You see, when we get online, I have met I'm a social worker. I've met a social worker from, is it Sierra Leone? Yes, and they do things differently, which is better according, I will compare it to Kenya. I'm not saying Kenya, we're not doing it the right way, but at least they are doing something, they are doing it better. So when I get to connect with them, I connect with them through online. So we get to exchange ideas, we learn, but we do this at the right time, not at the time that we're supposed to serve the client. So that is something that our employers need to understand. But on my side, they understand. They're not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my take.
I love that. I love that, Gloria. I would love you to just package it a little bit because of time, because we have run out of time. But go ahead.
Okay, I would say that there's the need for our bosses to continually get some people to train us on the job training, I would say, because even with the Gen Zs, we may have not gotten everything right. So we still need this kind of on the job training. And we have various kind of generations at the workplace. In order to avoid frictions and all of that, we need to bring us all into, I'm not saying we can all be at the same level, but then this kind of on the job training would set a basics for us all to roll and use these tools effectively. And I'll also say that some job opportunities or some bosses normally would want to provide sophisticated technology. No. With the current knowledge that we have, or with the basic knowledge we have, I think it would be okay for tools and equipment that we can easily apply the skill sets we have to should be provided for. And as we grow in the knowledge and the skills, that these sophisticated technologies or devices can also be brought into play so that we're able to use resources effectively. So on the job training is what I'll go for to avoid lots of frictions.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to ask Lena and Sanchita as we wrap up this conversation. So what would you tell a Gen Z who's in this webinar and the ones who are on the panel with us to just focus on in terms of co-creating, because we were doing skills, strategy, and co-creating. So what would be your advice for them to co-create? Let's make it very brief because of time. Lena, you are on mute.
Okay, so I think your attention is the most valuable thing you own, and more valuable than the labor in many cases. But unfortunately, you're living inside systems that are engineered by some of the most sophisticated behavioral scientists and product engineers to capture and monetize it. And that's the business model. So I think if you treat your attention as the most finite, precious, strategic resource, and you decide deliberately where it goes and what it builds, and that's the most rational thing you can do right now.
Sanchita, thank you very much, Lena. Sanchita, I think, is she frozen? Sanchita, are you with us? Lena, can you, is she frozen?
She's frozen for me, actually. Yeah, frozen.
Yeah, all right. Oh. All right. I hope we can get her just before we wrap up the call.
Okay.
Hopefully. But I think that is time for us. And Angeline, thank you very much for just giving us that extension of grace, and also to everybody who's attending this particular webinar and those who will watch it later. We have way gone over time, but it was fun. I hope you have learned something. I do not be scared to take up any opportunity that comes your way. There is skill, there is strategy, and there's co-creation. And I think there is a space for everybody to plug and play. And the thing is, AI should not really change how work is perceived or how work is done. It should just make things better. And I think once we look at it in a different mindset, then I think things will be good. And Sanchita is back with us. Give us your wrap up, your wrap up thoughts. You had frozen for a minute. We can't hear you. I don't know. Sanchita, can you maybe mute and unmute again, and let's see if your microphone works?
Now am I
Just
audible?
keep talking. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I was disconnected for some time because of the network. Can you please come up like
Oh,
yeah.
so you're just giving your wrap-up thoughts, but advice to Gen Z in terms of what they should be anticipating in co-creation, yeah.
Okay. So I think for Gen Z, like as the technology world is changing and our future is also gonna change. So Gen Z's advice is to anticipate or collaborate future where their voice, creativity, and ethical reasoning matters. And co-creation is not just about like contributing ideas, it's about the activity shaping solution, questioning the system and how things basically works, and ensuring the technology works responsibly for not only for them but for their society or for everyone. So be ready to engage across the generations, bring your digital fluency together with critical thinking, and remember that your insight are invaluable in designing workplace policies and also the products that is ethical, inclusive, and effective. So that is what I feel.
Thank you very much. And I think to all our audience, if there is just that one skill that even if an algorithm is fed 1,000,000 times, it cannot replace or replicate what you bring to the table. Maybe focus on that. Because I think then AI can really not replace that human aspect. So I think for me, that would be my parting shot. And just thanking the organization that has led us here. Thank you, London. Thank you, India. Thank you, Ghana. Thank you, Kenya, and everybody who's here. If it is nighttime for you, have a very good night. If it is daytime, go make it a good day, make it a good week, and hopefully we'll see each other at the course of other sessions. So
thank you so much.
Bye from us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.